Hey traders, Nick here looking at Ulta. Yow! They reported earnings after hours. So they overshot to the downside by a skosh, past my initial estimate of a downside. Several scenarios were set up going into the earnings. Earnings are usually short-term reaction. They're usually binary, meaning I wouldn't know up or down. Nobody would, even if they hand you the P&L. In this case, it was they missed on both, I think, and then they also guided lower. So the story continues. The initial drop was exactly to here, and now it's almost exactly to the second leg of it. So what now? Clearly, if I'm still long Ulta and they really haven't changed anything in their actual business model, just mere estimate rejigging here, then most likely it's too late to sell right now if I'm still long. I don't have a trade on this. This is just merely helping out a few friends. Before I forget, at the end there will be a subscribe now button. Should be on the top left hand corner. So hit it. It's free. All right. So what can we find levels where this debacle could stop? Usually candles this size are not one-day events. This is a perfect example. Not last earnings, a few earnings ago. So this is a weekly chart. Okay, let's go back. Most people don't look at weekly. Most people look at this. This is a daily chart. You'd see this and you go, oh my gosh, what a debacle. So usually when I see a move like this, I don't rely on the fact that this is a low for a long time because I don't know where it came from. But back to this last statement, usually candles this big are not one-day events. This is the earnings from 2 times ago. It was a big drop and it was not a one-day event. Now, there may have been the fact that the markets were falling out of bed at the same time, so that was bad timing. But usually they're not, candles this size, unless it's a flash crash of sorts, they're usually not single events. But nevertheless, if I'm holding the stock, I'm not panicking at the open to get out of it. That's my take on it. If I have puts in it, I'd probably book them right away because at the open it's going to be a madhouse with put premiums, and I'll probably get more than I can get for the next 3 or 4 days unless it doubles that move down. I can book it and then re-engage in the day. So, but let's find levels. This is not enough information for me to find levels. Now, technically, this is an eyeball target of a debacle of whatever you call this. Losing, usually when you lose a neckline, you're going to drop by about the size of the guts of the stuff on top of it. So eyeball, this should have been the size of the drop. This is definitely there and then some. So I have to zoom back out to the weekly chart. Gives me a lot more clarity. First of all, it gives me this, that there is extension here, that there are levels from before. So I'll have to zoom out to a monthly chart to show you where these came from. But before we go there, this level here, if I'm looking at it, if I want to mark it up, let's see if I can mark it up here. 1 second. So I'll bring perfect. The scratch pad on the daily. This is the daily chart. It's still up. I was talking to somebody. So this was the initial drop. It's now more. But this collection of candles here were interesting. Like every day, look at these days. That's insane. So they sliced through it. This was the rally. This was half. They sliced through it. So all says that this was a pivot zone and should have held. So tomorrow they may go back to it. 288 or so. So let me see here if I close this. So they could go back to this zone, which looking at it, let's mark up the weekly. We'll come back to the same conclusion that that zone is pivotal, or was. So when they first dropped, this area is significant. So regardless of what anybody says, this was a wall. They sliced through it, above it, below it, madhouse. This is the Christmas correction of last year. Then since then, this was the rally. So from here on out, so they're pivoting around this zone. I could call this R, I could call this R, even though they went above it. Resistance, resistance, and then breakout. Coming back to it, it should be support. Now, today's candle is slicing through everything. So it's maybe a gift for somebody that really likes it or knows it. Now another eyeball target is this one. This is the weekly point of contention, basically. This is where bulls and bears fight it out the most. So I take it, plus or minus, and this tells me that this whole zone is pivotal. So regardless, it's not going to zero without a good fight. That's what it's saying. Where do I draw the line? How about here? Just eyeball. Okay, so let me go back to Ulta. Where is it now? The weekly doesn't show me. And suddenly the aftermarket candle disappeared. Anyway, it's trading down pretty low. So the point is, I don't panic out of it if I know the levels. And it's not going to zero. This was a pivotal level from before, and it just depends on what the rhetoric is from the so-called experts. I would do my homework if I owned it to see if really their story completely changed, or were they caught with inventory this, inventory that, or are they guiding really softly because they think that there's going to be trouble from these tariffs. I don't know their business. I'm merely trying to find chart levels that are important. So back to the chart. I'm going to jump out of it and go back into it to reset everything. I have a feeling we're missing something here. Nope, still showing that. All right, so I'm going to go back to a weekly and then go to a monthly. All right, so now this is 2008 on. Every candle is 1 month. Okay, so if it's going to be down here now, these come into play. So if I extend these, how did I get this white line? Years ago, I must have drawn this line, connecting the low, the low, the low, the low, and then pierced through it here. So I'm going to extend it where I had it, so I don't lie and cheat and change things. And look where they meet up, around this zone. This one has been pierced, and this one was just connecting this candle and that candle. I don't think I need to extend that, but I could. Thereabouts. So this one has been lost. If you're a trend line person, this trend line has been breached, but it had been breached for a while. So I don't know if I like that. I'm going to leave that behind, not to clutter. Also, some moving averages tell me that they're trying to flip back. So far it's been bullish. They bounce off of significant moving averages that I usually watch, and now they're below it. So did they hand over, the buyers hand over the reins to the sellers? So this is an important question. It's probably going to top out the moving averages and see if now they sell the bottom ends of them. So this I can extend out to the right. Boy, they changed the format on that one. So I will do it manually later. But the point is, visually I can say they're not going to zero, obviously. They have first of all, they sliced through, I think, 3-minute mini support zones and are now in a 4th support zone, which is more significant than the other 3. So needless to say that, like I said, unless they completely change their model or something that's going to be not just the tariff thing, but something else, this might be a buying opportunity with patience. That doesn't mean I run out at the open, because I first said there is, when an event is this big, it's likely not a one-day event. Weird how this platform sometimes stops giving me the aftermarket. Okay, so bloodbath tomorrow with Ulta. Don't know how they're going to sell it any which way. So Nick signing out. Good luck with that.